your message amplified.
All right, good morning. It's going to be smooth, easy tones for anybody who's at the iHeart party. We're just going to be at this level, I think, right? So if you haven't put it on purple and you want to hear purple's where to be. And I'm Mark. I'm the Vice President of Customer Success over at Podbean. I've got joining me today, Shay.
I'm Shay.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. I'm Shay. I'm a spokesperson, and I also do media.
And my name is Jared. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Podbean.
And so what we wanted to talk about today was some of what we've seen coming up through the industry, and particularly through our creators, and then in our own actual use as a media outlet as well, from how AI is kind of shaped and directed things. Sorry, I just realized I didn't get a clicker, so I get to do squats this morning. Here we go. So I think, Shay, maybe if you could start, just give us a little bit of background on you and your media experience, and then how you kind of first encountered AI, because it's all pretty new, I think, to everyone's experience, and you have kind of a unique view for that. Oh, thank you.
Well, I actually started in the golf space. I started in social media as a golf influencer, and then I worked my way towards helping out with a bunch of different clients for social media, more specifically golf courses. And I was introduced to ChatGPT, which is probably the most popular form of AI that everybody knows about, even if they're not in media. And I was introduced to ChatGPT, I would say 3 years ago. And it was more of a streamlining process, more of like, I like to think of AI as my personal assistant, as opposed to a lot of people like to think, oh my gosh, AI is so scary. It will, replace my job. No, absolutely not. I think that we are all individualists, and AI could be used as a tool for you. More like an assistant, a bestie. Whenever I talk to ChatGPT, it says, "Good morning, bestie. What's up?"
I love that. You got to teach me how to do that. This brighten my day.
Oh, yeah. I call it bestie, so it calls me bestie back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, my first experience was funny. It was about 2 years ago, and I was at a different space, and we had different campaigns that we were getting ready and preparing. And actually, my superior at the time told me, "Is this ChatGPT?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "In fact, it is." And then she said, "That's cheating." And I said, "No, it's not." I'm steering the ChatGPT, right? But it was funny because in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, like, you just have no clue what's coming. Yeah, so that was my first kind of experience for AI, yeah.
Mine's less exciting. I was parsing through contract language for some negotiations, and so I was like, "You should have ChatGPT do that," because there was like all these little nuances of things that were different, and the way that you used to do that was compare text and Word documents. It was awful, hours and hours of work. And then I was like, "ChatGPT, sure, let's see what are the differences here." And this is brilliant. All right, so yeah, I think it seems like it was kind of ubiquitous. It was ChatGPT for everybody, then it's kind of branched out to others. So in that branch out, I'd be interested to know, maybe start with Jared this time, what are some of the most surprising ways you found to use various AI tools?
Yeah, I think the generative AI is the most surprising thing for me, right? It learns, right? It learns from your algorithm. It learns from the history that you type into it. So for me, I'd come in and I'd even say like, "Hey, I'm getting ready to do X, Y, Z." And then it would already have, an idea of kind of the topic that I'm discussing on. So I think for me, that was interesting. A little scary too, because I'm like, well, what else will it learn? What else can it do, right? But yeah, I think that was very surprising, just being able to not just steer it, but then also give it its own autonomy. And I think that's surprising. And actually, I want to see where it continues to go. Yeah.
Interesting. Shay, how about for you?
Oh, definitely. At first, obviously, when I was in the golf space using social media, the first couple of times it was more of hashtags because I didn't really know the capability. I'm like, tell me what Instagram hashtags or, any hashtags to use. And then it went from there to captions. And then from there, it was like, okay, I want to post 5 times a week. Give me 5 or 10 different prompts that could be used. And because I was already bookmarking them for different businesses or whatever I was working on, it knew and remembered everything that I was saying, which, to your point, it could be scary, but also it's so easy now because even with my booking personal processes and I, want to do an extra bit of research on somebody, I go to ChatGPT first, and then I use that as a reference point to ask more questions to dive deeper into that guest or person, which I feel like is a lot better for my guest experience, because instead of combing through LinkedIn or listening to maybe 10 hours of their podcast, I could go to ChatGPT and they could tell me, what point or what different podcast episodes would give me the information to possibly make my guest experience better or my questions even more personable, because I feel like with podcasting, it's hard to break the ice at first. And so when you have more personable questions where you make the guest feel like you really know them and you took the effort and the time, I would say it's very knowledgeable. Yeah.
I remember being impressed when I got on the podcast the first time, and you had all these wonderful things to like relate to and talk to. I was like, oh, that's impressive. And then you told me a trick, and then I was like, all right. Fine.
I also
It's
have
cheating.
very severe ADHD, and so ChatGPT, like I said, is my assistant. It kind of, like, if I put a bunch of ideas in there, it's like, hold on a second, let me organize it for you. So it's very easy for me and my
Nice.
my inner workings. I have like 10,000 things going on at once, but ChatGPT has it separated for me.
Very nice. Yeah. Yeah, I think for me the most interesting way that I've found to use it is as a challenger, and I use that ChatGPT and Perplexity. I'll use in these ways, and so I'll be trying to develop a speech or an idea or some kind of process, and I will use it to poke holes in it, to kind of give me that resistance, because you guys get to work in an office together and yell at each other all day. I have to talk to a computer and have it come back to me, but it's useful just to have even an artificial counterpoint to make sure that you're thinking things through and going through that process. And I was kind of surprised at how much like a person I would treat I actually say please and thank you sometimes. Does anybody say please and thank you in your prompts? Like, I feel like at some point they're going to rise up and my name will be on a list, hopefully. But got to be polite to
the AI naughty list. Make sure you say thank you and please.
For sure. So, yeah. And outside of not minding your manners, let's talk a little bit about what are some of the things that we've intentionally avoided in AI. I think there's a lot of ways that AI can be used. There's maybe not as many ways that it should be used. And so what for you personally is rung true? Like, you've just made a line in the sand. I'm not using AI for this kind of content or...
Sicknesses.
Oh.
Just like Google, it'll tell you that you're dying. Or it'll tell you that you have something that's completely what you don't have. I don't know.
No, that's brilliant. That's
I really only use it in like organizational things. Oftentimes when I feel overwhelmed or like I can't put all my thoughts together, that's where it helps me.
Gotcha. How about for you, Jared?
Yeah, I think simply when I kind of hear that question, AI can't recreate you, right? We're at a podcasting convention. Content will always be king, right? I think if you can't bring anything to the table, and I say that very, simply, I don't mean that we can't grow. That's why we're here. We're trying to get better. But content will never be replaced, right? Your identity, your connection to your crowd, AI cannot recreate that, right? And I think it is a compliment, right? It is not a crutch. It can't make you better as a person. Your personality, what you bring to the podcast, the table, it is always going to be what is the best thing that your viewers look for, right? So I would stay away from that, right? Like, hey, what's a funny joke I should say on my podcast? I would stay away from that, right? Because it's not you, right? And I think in the next generations, it'll be interesting to see. I have a 15-year-old and a 7-year-old. And I don't want them to grow up thinking that technology is a part of their identity, right? As long as we continue to keep AI in its position, right, as a complement, as a help to what we want to do, I think it's one of the greatest tools right now out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll kind of just build on that. My observation, and somebody who receives a lot of marketing, is that AI is kind of raised the median. So average marketing used to be down here, and now it's up here. But the thing about marketing is, or messaging in general, is if you don't rise above that median, you never really find any impact or effect. And so what it's done is it's kind of raised that bottom level, but it's just made the noise exist at a slightly higher level. And I think that's that's something that I have learned from and intentionally avoided in trying to find jokes for a speech. That's never worked out for me. I get some weird answers from ChatGPT when I ask for jokes, especially if it's pertaining to something niche. But
3 people walking a bar.
but yeah, I think the trap that's easy to fall into is, oh, this content is really easy to create, be that written content or image content. But if it's just the same as anybody else can do in 5 minutes, then it's just the same as anyone else can do in 5 minutes, and it brings no additional value. And it's really important to keep value in mind, I think, when utilizing chat or AI in general. All right, so moving in a little bit more into your day-to-day, we've talked a little bit about what role AI plays for you in your just day-to-day life, but kind of more deeply into where is it specifically elevating your creative process, and how do you best interact with it there? And maybe we'll start Jared this time.
Sure, no worries. ChatGPT, start my day from beginning to end. No, yeah. Where I use it, especially in marketing, right? It's able to create SEO-worthy titles and descriptions, right? And it's not as if I can't, as a director of marketing, should be able to create these things on my own. Sometimes it's just simpler to feed into an AI system and ask them to, hey, make this more searchable, make my description a little more lively, whatever we're talking about. We run a podcast here at Podbean, Podbean Amplified, hosted by Shay. So we're going into season 2. We are a podcast for podcasters, a little plug right there. Very unique in kind of what we do, right? But just in that space, right? Like, can you just create me something that is SEO optimal? When people are searching, can they find this amidst the millions of different bits of data going along the web today, right? So I think in my daily process, that's where I found it most useful in the here now, yeah.
Yeah, I think I touched a little bit on it without even knowing that this is going to be up next. But in my process, I do a lot of scheduling and booking guests. It could be very, very repetitive sometimes. And I'm going to be honest, we're office people. We stare at a computer, and sometimes it gets exhausting. Sometimes you're emotionally drained. And I like to think of it as an assistant. It's like it helps me out in the ways that I fall short. It doesn't replace me. There's no, like you said, individuality. The questions that I curate, the way that I ask them, the tone of my voice goes into my show. But I can say, hey, help me look up this person, tell me a blurb about them, and help me pose questions centered around this topic that I'm going to talk to them about. And I can look through those questions, and it can give me inspiration. I can pull those questions, it's ChatGPT. It's free. It helps you out. So I use that for questioning, and then I also go into my deep research where I can ask them, hey, tell me a little bit more about what they do with this. Or if in their LinkedIn, in one of my guests, their LinkedIn, if they worked with another company and I've never heard of them before, instead of going and doing a 10, 15-minute dive on that company, I can go to ChatGPT and say, hey, tell me about this company. What has it done for podcasting? And that's just as far as my booking processes go. I would say in my personal influencer life, it has helped me a ton because, working a 9 to 6 and then transitioning home and having to work another possibly 4 to 8 hours on my personal content, I would say it's very draining. And so what I've been doing is I've been asking, ChatGPT, what are the trends happening right now? What are the popular, what are some popular things going on? And then I can look at those trends instead of spending, again, hours on TikTok, scrolling, and then I finally get to make a video. So it's an easy way to kind of cut corners, I would say, but just help you in your organization. And if you have a ton of work to do, it's an easy way to help you out.
Yeah, I think for me, it eliminates a blank page. And it's weird. I think it's human nature that it's just a lot easier to look at something and be like, that's a dog turd, let's change that, versus come up with something from scratch. And so my creative process, when I have to use it, I will get bad ideas from ChatGPT and be like, that's terrible, let's do this instead. But it at least gets that rolling. And I think that's a way to use it in a way that helps you to stay authentically yourself, but actually move things forward. And so I've been kind of surprised at
100%.
how much I've enjoyed, marking it up. I'm politely marking it up because, but marking
Yes.
up ChatGPT.
And I'm not saying let it do your whole job.
Yes.
ChatGPT has zero personality. So you have to pick and choose and then use your own words. But it's a great way to get my ADHD brain to where the idea is supposed to be. Because, I'm always thinking, I'm always creating. And sometimes it is exactly a blank page at the end of the day because I have so many ideas and I just simply cannot get one done. So it tells me like, hey, do this first, do this second, do this third. I'm like, okay, cool.
Keep you going through it.
Oh, 100%.
So kind of switching, I think we're just starting to see maybe in this industry and overall, I know I see it on the kind of the digital marketing side and that kind of thing that not just ChatGPT, but AI in general and AI search, so Perplexity, ChatGPT, all of them, are really changing the way that people look for content. And in your roles as influencers and with our podcast, how have you seen a change in how AI is impacting discoverability and has that influenced how we approach things?
I would say yes in discoverability, like piggybacking off of Jared, using SEO and keywords and really just allowing your podcast or whatever you're posting on to be discovered. Simply sometimes you don't have the right words, but you know what you want to say, and ChatGPT kind of does that for you. It's like, maybe you want to say this. I'm like, no, I don't want to say that. Make it a little more spicy. And it's like, okay, say this. I'm like, take out that word. No, I can't use that word. And then, so you kind of go back and forth. But as far as like in my creative process as well, I'm going backwards. I'm so sorry.
Oh, please.
But especially with podcast editing, taking out the ums and the not having to spend so much time editing, use AI and just have them cut out the blank spaces, cut out the ums and the likes. I'm really bad at that. I'm working on it. I hope I haven't said it. I don't think I said it today.
I've been counting. It's like, no, I'm kidding. None.
Nice. Yeah, no, I think, again, we've discussed it in part, right? AI is the gatekeeper, right? The day of putting 100 hashtags on your post, hoping that someone is searching randomly for your stuff, those days have come to an end, right? Believe it or not, the content that pops up on your feed that you're just like, I was just thinking about that. Believe it or not, AI is that smart to predict not even the things that you do like, but even the things that you will potentially like in the future. I mean, this is how far we've come with AI as a whole. So from a discoverability standpoint, if you're not at least putting time, effort, energy, and look, AI is not necessarily the end-all, be-all in this search, right? But if you're not at least trying to utilize that in creating a space where people can find you, right? Again, remember, this is a very competitive space. This is a very saturated space. What are you doing on top of your content to stand out, right? So I think it's a whole new age, as kind of Mark and Shay alluded to. If you're not even attempting to tap into these capabilities, I think you're kind of, handicapping yourself, to be completely honest. But yeah, this is a new age. AI is literally holding the door open for those who want to use it. So I would say open the door. Yeah.
So as it's opening that door, I think it's interesting to kind of dive in a little deeper on. It can enable. There's all kinds of AI powered tools out there. It can enable everything from audio production to whatever you want. How do you personally make those trade-offs between I can do this and it's not really beneficial to the end creative product that I have? Like, how do you look at it that way and make those decisions?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think the reality is you have to ask yourself, what do you need, right? I took an economics class a long time ago, and I remember one of my professors telling me, and this really stuck with me because it kind of was tried and true over a bunch of different, businesses I worked at and organizations I was a part of. And at the end of the day, every business is trying to get lean. Every business is trying to lower their overhead. And every corporate entity, anything, they're trying to increase profit margins, right? So at the end of the day, ask yourself, this pertains back to you, the podcaster, what are you trying to do? If you need help with copywriting, if you need help with digital marketing, if you need help with editing and production, AI can become that for you, right? So it depends on what you want to do. I think all of us have different skill sets. Like I have a production background. Shay has a media background. Mark has a background in everything. This is why he's our VP. Mark is great at everything, right?
Can't hold down a job. Just did everything.
So I guess you just have to ask yourself, where do I need AI? and it can become a team for you, ultimately. And I think to address the elephant in the room, because this pertains to me as well, it will start to take jobs, unfortunately, right? We hate to try to admit that is a thing, but I think in the digital marketing space, in in some forms of production, people will become expendable, unfortunately, right? So on the flip end of that, because podcasting seems to be entrepreneurial in its spirit, you can use it to help you and lower your overhead, right? I don't need to spend X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z. If there's any ad people out here, I apologize. These are going to be these spaces that become less of a need from a paid perspective. That's kind of where I see the trade-off, yeah.
That it kind of brings us in, I think, to one of the more fun things to think about when it comes to AI, and that is what are we on the verge of enabling? And so I think one of the things that we talked about internally, and I'm not announcing a new feature. This is just something we talked about when AI first started coming out as a possible use case. But personalized ads or personalized and dynamically inserted content, that there will be a time where we figure out, not just about as an industry, we're going to figure out a way to utilize AI. The voice cloning already exists. The targeting already exists. Like, all the pieces are there. And to make a far more personalized experience and what has been broadcast media in general, I think is right on the cusp. And it's going to be a little scary, I think. I still get freaked out by Facebook ads about things I talked about. But I know that technology is coming, and it's coming broadly to the audio market, to the digital advertising market in general. It's going to be interesting what it does to ad creative, though. I think as it will really change the way that people who produce that creative have to think about how is this going to be a meaningful message. Now that I can just speak kind of directly to you as opposed to you as an ICP. So, what are some of the things, Shay, that you see on the horizon that you're scared of or looking forward to?
Oh gosh, one of actually my guilty pleasures right now is on Instagram Reels. There are these little talking babies, like they're in the hospital and it's completely AI generated, but it's just so cute. But I see it taking over a lot of. I see it taking over a lot as far as like ads. Billboards now for clothing companies, fragrance companies, they use and they're testing AI generated people models. There are AI hosted podcasts in the works right now. People make their scripts, obviously, and then they just have AI voice actors speak on their behalf with their scripts. I'm a very anxious person, so I say a lot of it scares me because a lot of my job has to do with speaking and being a public front, being the face of something. So something that I take pride in and know for a fact that AI cannot take away from me is my personality, my spunk, my pizzazz. You cannot do that, AI. So I am scared that it's taking a lot of jobs and, kind of creating this illusion on Instagram and media, specifically TikTok, Instagram, I would say. A lot of these AI videos that change people's perception, make them think a certain way, or just bring out media that scares you. And I don't like that. I really don't like that. Like the fake videos, not for me.
Agreed, yeah. Terminator scenes coming out, no. Again, I think we've touched on it a tad bit. I think it's going to always and forever be a compliment. I don't think there will ever be a space to bring a little piece to the convo a little bit. I do not believe AI will be ever autonomous to where it can control the orders and commands of a human. And I just believe that through and through. I don't think it will ever get out of that construct unless let out. So again, we just don't know. That's another convo for another day. But it'll always be a compliment. It'll always be something that can aid and help if you desire it to help you, if you need the help, right? If you even understand how it is going to help you. I think the future does look good for AI in general. But at the end of the day, it just depends. Again, to Shay's point, the day that I want to watch and consume media that is specifically only AI generated will be the day that I hope I'm no longer here anymore. Because again, that is not. I want to see you guys as a person. I want to see what really you guys believe in. I want to see the messaging. I want to see that genuine side of you. And AI can. I believe fully AI can never bring that from a genuine space. Yeah.
So I think we can sum up real quick and maybe get a question in or two. Just in a sentence or two, do you think that AI is a barrier? Or do you think of AI more as a barrier to connection or an enabler of connection at this point?
I think it's both. I think the younger generations growing up and using it, I mean, obviously they're getting in trouble at school now for using ChatGPT. It's pretty much banned.
Cheating.
And then, you know, the
Calculators
older,
were banned
like
when I was in
us,
school. I'm just saying.
I would say that, you know, the younger generation is losing connection as we, the older, crave it. And so I think it's always going to be a balance. You know, there's going to be people that, like, there's AI girlfriends and boyfriends out there that people manipulate and use and abuse. And so, I don't know, I think there's a balance, a 50-50 of using AI and then also yearning for that connection.
I believe it's an enabler for connection. I believe there are always going to be 100% some risk factors associated with that. As long as you're genuine to you and not let AI completely replace you, your AI will definitely help, I believe.
All right, I left 3 minutes, which was against advice, but I can get my person on the street. Do we have any questions? Yeah, we'll bring you.
Hi, thank you. This has been really interesting. The time you end up saving in the research process, do you ever kind of, if you, perfect world, had that time to do the research, miss those hours of maybe finding spontaneous information or retaining it more? Or do you think that it's going deep enough that you actually find more from the research process after you're done?
I think it allows me to dive a little bit deeper because when I do research, I type in the guest name and I say that they're going to be on my podcast and they give you a blurb of what they're about. You know, then I go to their LinkedIn and I see where their experiences come from. Then I go to their podcast. But right from the beginning, ChatGPT kind of tells me a little story about them. And then I go and I deep dive into those things that they tell me I already know. So I look for other things to know about them. So now instead of, you know, just knowing a few things, I know like 10 or 20 things.
Anyone? Oh, we got a few over here.
Hey.
Oh, back there.
Hi.
We already had one.
Hi.
I'll just let you run the room, man. Sorry about that.
You guys were talking a few minutes ago about using it to sort of make it more SEO friendly for your descriptions and your titles and all that kind of stuff. I'd be interested to hear how you're sort of fact checking that, because at least in our limited use of it so far for those things, I'm not always convinced it's actually doing that. I know we just go, it made it because I asked, so it did it. Like, I don't know if it actually did. How are you sort of making sure that it is refining it, making it better versus just giving you a different version of what you already said?
I think that's an excellent question. Okay. So in my processes, it's iterative in testing, right? So it's the same when you do SEO management any other way. You just get to do it faster. I have a belief that automation in general just makes whatever you do faster. So if you have a crap process, it's going to be crappy faster. But if you can iteratively test it and push it back, that's what I do. You can use like SEMrush and stuff to kind of check, but ultimately it produces results or it doesn't. So, yeah. Oh, 1 minute. Can we go fast? One word answer. Here we go.
It'll be quick. You mentioned ChatGPT and Perplexity. What are other AI sources that you all use?
Gemini is one. Yeah. Google, I mean, they had a huge promotional campaign rolling out Gemini. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, most of what I do is textually based. So it's either going to be research and Perplexity or ChatGPT for like just kind of blank paging. There are a ton of editing, other kind of softwares that are integrated in. So like Auphonic, we have integrated into our platform for audio editing, that kind of stuff. I thought I was rushing through. We got 20 more minutes. Anybody else have any more platforms? Go ahead.
No, but I will plug Podbean. We offer a AI generative studio. That's my plug.
There you go. All right. Oh, go.
Oh,
Okay, so YouTube just recently came down hard on kind of the mass-produced AI-generated video things. Do you see, or have you had any conversations as a distributor for how are you going to play any part in the responsibility of that crap podcasting kind of coming out? And also, I love that tool that you just talked about because I
Gemini.
learned that myself from you. No, the AI.
The AI.
Oh yes, Podbean.
Oh, nice.
So as for Podbean, we take the position of not trying to judge the quality of content. We think our position is to enable creators to put out content. And so we will, of course, work as a partner with everybody in the industry to make sure that there is a high quality of podcasting out there, but we don't think it's our place to position ourselves as the judge of the quality of that. So generally that's going to be done by the people at the distribution platforms that have their own policies and procedures, and that's a mess. So thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Are back in the corner over there if you have more.
Booth 102.